Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty.
Ron DeSantis recently suspended an elected district attorney because he didn't like the way he was, or in this case, wasn't doing his job. So this sounds like a prosecutor that was in the cut from the same cloth as what's that guy's name in L.A.? I
Paul
can't.
Gasco or George Gascon.
Gascon, yeah. So
Gascon, yeah.
essentially, somebody who just wasn't, prosecuting enough people and putting them in jail, and it, sounded like, maybe they were having some crime issues there that, he didn't feel like were being addressed, and they used some, I guess, aspect of Florida law that allowed the governor to suspend the DA if they didn't think they were fulfilling the duties of the office, I think. So, but anyways, it does raise a question. I mean, if the voters wanted that person in there and they like that type of governance, should the governor really be coming in and removing that person? What do you guys think about this?
Well, as a philosophical idea, I do not like the actions of Ron DeSantis in this particular case. Okay, he's a very good governor. He does a great job, but in this particular case, I do not like his idea philosophically. However, okay, because I think elected officials are only responsible to the voters. Okay, if the voters put you there, whatever nonsense you choose to do, well, that's on the voters, and no authority should be able to remove you from office unless there's some sort of malfeasance that you could directly point to, and then you could be impeached. Okay, that to me should be the process. However, in this particular case, the Florida Constitution allows DeSantis to do this. So I don't think he's out of bounds in doing what he did. But philosophically, I can't agree with it because I think this man should only be responsible to the voters. Now, he's one of these George Soros district attorneys that we have all over the country. We have one in LA, Philadelphia, St. Louis. We have them all over the country. Alvin Bragg in Manhattan, same thing. They are not enforcing the law. And when people are arrested, they are not charging them with appropriate crimes, and they're turning them loose, and they're turning them loose on the people that they are elected to protect. People like us, me and you. That is the people that they're turning them loose on. And this is a real problem. But if the voters choose these people, to run their show, to run their judicial systems that are in play, then we have to abide by it. Otherwise, we end up banana republic. So in this particular case, even though I like Ron DeSantis as a governor, I think I can't agree with it philosophically, but I know he has the backing of the Florida Constitution in his actions.
Well, if he has the backing of the Constitution, shouldn't he be able to do that to step in? I mean, we were talking about how so many of these citizens, shooting in self-defense because of the increase in crime, and it's partly because they're letting criminals go. So maybe DeSantis is trying to prevent that. And I didn't know any, at first. I mean, I agree 100% with what Leon's saying, but if it's in the Constitution, then maybe he's just reluctantly doing this because it goes against his philosophical grain. But at the same time, he's responsible for the safety of the citizens of Florida, and he's within his rights. If he is, then maybe you and I both would do the same thing if we were in his position. Wouldn't we?
Well, quite frankly, I would. I mean, if I have the backing of the Constitution, even though philosophically I disagree with what he did, but if we have the backing of the Florida Constitution, hell, I would do it. If I had the backing of the Constitution, all of these George Soros, the district attorneys we have sprinkled all over the country, I would get rid of all of them if I could, as long as I have some authority to do so.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, fair enough.
Well, keep in mind, too, that with DeSantis, this isn't the only thing he's done. It's sort of a little on the authoritarian conservative side, he's done some things with education, like forcing that certain ideas be taught in school and other things. Now, granted, and I'm not like complaining. If I could swap him with our governor here in California, I'd do it in a heartbeat. so I much prefer what he's doing.
Gavin,
But as a libertarian,
Gavin Newsom, I think you're a terrorist or an extremist for making such a statement, Jason. But go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say though that there are some things as a libertarian that I think are a little bit concerning about DeSantis, pushing certain preferences that are just happen to be on the conservative side on people. So, but he largely is responding to just insanity of the left. So, that's just
Jason, even in that article that you sent out in preparation for this show, the word authoritarian was used in describing DeSantis's actions. I can't see how we could even use that word if the man has something that he can point to that gives him the authority to do this. It's not that he just dream up something and say, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of the district attorney." He has the authority to do so, even though philosophically I disagree with it. So I can't see the use of the word authoritarian in this context.
Yeah. Well, it's a kind of a tough call because if it was some guy who just like literally wasn't showing up to work and he was out vacationing like some of these congressmen that you occasionally hear about, right? Then that seems like what the Constitution was designed for. There in Florida, to get rid of somebody who's just completely derelict in their duty. But if it's just a different philosophy and therefore they're not doing their job, but if that's kind of what the voters voted for, it does feel a little uneasy, like you're kind of maybe getting it's almost like man, if voters really want this garbage, you almost feel like, man, well, maybe they deserve to get it good and hard. I guess sadly we're seeing a lot of that in California where the majority are insane, and we just happen to be hopefully some lonely voices of reason here trying to break the spell. The stuff we're seeing in some of these cities, it's like Walgreens having to close and stuff because the DAs and the police just aren't enforcing anything. And some of these are laws that are in place that are just literally saying that, hey, they don't have to do anything if it's below $950. And that makes you wonder too, because I hear some Democrats talking about, well, from what we've seen these images where crime may be bad, but the numbers just aren't as bad as people are making it out to be. Well, if people know that there's not going to be any enforcement, is anything even being reported? Exactly. When a guy rolls through a Walgreens and just fills up his bag and walks out, is that even reported as a crime?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. It's not a crime. Yeah. It's not a crime, apparently.
But in the voters in San Francisco, the voters rebelled against the Chester Bodine or whatever the hell his name was, and they recalled him. Now they're trying to recall Gascon in Los Angeles, which is great. I think the voters, if they elected a person, that is where they should that is where the action should come from in terms of removal from office, not from like a governor or anything like that. That's my view philosophically. But the whole point about this thing about the Florida Constitution and the dereliction of duty, who decides what exactly is a dereliction of duty? It is true all over the country, whether in the federal government, prosecutors use their discretion in determining what crimes they will charge and what they don't charge, and they make deals in terms of plea bargains, in terms of what they're going to charge someone with, and those sort of things. I know all of those things happen. So who decides what is the dereliction of duty? If a DA makes a deal with somebody, well, I'll charge you a lesser charge if you will cooperate with me to get some bigger fish. Is that a dereliction of duty? So who decides what dereliction of duty is? So that's where the complication begins. So when the governor takes action, like the governor did in Florida, when he takes action, even though he's authorized to do so, what is dereliction of duty? Who decides that? The guys might be thinking he's doing his job, right? He might be acting within prosecutorial discretion. But DeSantis, on the other hand, may see that as his dereliction of duty if you're not going to enforce the law as prescribed by a legislator. Who knows?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always.